This level 1 Snover can utilize a little known mechanic in Pokemon to survive attacks dealing over 65,000 damage. Since the beginning of time, philosophers have asked themselves many difficult questions like, what is consciousness, or how many Pikmin does it take to steal the Statue of Liberty? And perhaps the most challenging, how can a level 1 Pokemon survive super effective hits from a level 100 Pokemon? No, this isn't using the Focus Sash or any other item to prevent the Pokemon from fainting. This little guy takes the damage all on his own. The reason this is possible is due to how damage is applied in Pokemon games. We generally imagine the amount of damage that a Pokemon can deal as a linear scale, but in reality, this number line is more like a number circle. And this is done to prevent hardware from spontaneously combusting. While the exact reasoning is unknown, it's theorized that this was done to prevent insanely large damage numbers from ticking over into bits that were storing information that isn't damage and therefore breaking the game. Apparently this is where Game Freak draws the line on game-breaking bugs. I'm joking, please don't cancel me. In practice, this means dealing massive damage leads to wrapping around the max value back past 0 again, and thus performing what's called a damage rollover. Since damage is shortened to 16 bits, that means the maximum damage value is 2 to the power of 16 minus 1, or 65,535. And while the average Pokemon's HP is less than 400, it's actually a lot easier to reach this number than you'd think, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to do it too. By now, it might be clear why Snover is our sacrificial Pokemon. His Grass and Ice typing means that he takes 4 times damage from Fire-type attacks. So to start off, all we have to do is look at a list of the Fire-type Pokemon with the highest attack stats and choose our favorite. I chose Reshiram because I just finished Black and White 3 and I quite enjoyed it. A max special attack Blue Flare would deal 47,836 damage to Snover.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
We can get another 50% by slapping on Choice Specs, which brings us to 71,752 damage. However, that's more than 6,000 too much damage, and that brings us to an awkward part of the equation, the damage roll. For those with unaware, damage in Pokemon can fluctuate by roughly 15%. This means landing right at the start of our number circle is a bit more difficult than we anticipated. While our Blue Flare attack can deal up to 71,752 damage, it can also deal as low as 60,988 damage. In fact, there are 16 different damage rolls that any attack can land on. And this adds an extra layer of difficulty to what we're trying to do, because this means that even when we have it all calculated out, we still only have a 1 in 16 chance of getting our desired damage roll. So from here, I'm gonna get on that Sada and Turo AI to rationalize my computer and see what I can come up with. Okay, this is a mouthful. A level 100 Reshiram with 355 special attack, Choice Specs, Terra Fire active in the harsh sunlight condition using a Blue Flame attack against a level 1 Snover with minimum special defense has 1 damage roll that is exactly 65,536 damage, or due to rollover, 0 damage. And here's a little fun fact. In most cases, it's actually impossible to deal 0 damage because in Pokemon games, they have a check that always rounds 0 to 1 damage. And this is one of the few ways that you can actually deal 0 damage without using a gimmick like Wonder Guard or False Swipe. From here, I built 2 in-game teams to set up this scenario. One team would have the Reshiram and a Torkoal with the Drought ability to set up the sun, and the other team was a set of Snovers. I also named all the Snovers for dramatic effect. I borrowed my friend's Switch and I got to work. I began eradicating all Snovers in sight. Blue flare after blue flare, I watched as the population began to dwindle. Not a single one stood a chance against my Dragon of Flame. None but one. Fred. With unwavering resolve, Fred stood in front of the mighty legendary dragon and withstood the fiery attack without even a scratch. Simply put, the dude is built like a brick house. Like, I knew this would work, but I'm still kind of blown away that we even actually did it. I tried to think of some ways that this mechanic could even be useful, and I came up with one ridiculously niche scenario, but I don't even think there's Pokemon available that could pull this off right now. It would go something like this. Pokemon 1 would use a switch out move like Flip Turn, U-Turn, or Volt Switch on the partner Pokemon, which is holding the weakness policy. This would activate the weakness policy, and Pokemon 1 would switch into a Flamigo with the Co-Star ability. Flamigo would then copy the +2 stat boost, and then Pokemon 2 would switch out using Baton Pass into something that was actually useful. This would allow you in one turn to get 2 Pokemon with sharply boosted stats. This would obviously just KO the Pokemon like 90% of the time, but if you pulled it off, you'd be a god gamer. And if you would like to try this out for yourself, I have 2 rental teams here that you can use with a friend and try it out for yourselves. If you enjoyed this video, hit the sub button. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. Peace.